Welcome to the Next Level Podcast with Brian Daniels. Ooh, boom shakalaka.
Welcome back to the Next Level. I am your host on this episode, Brian Daniels. I'm flying solo today. And before I get into who this gentleman is here with me on the show, I want to thank my man, Mr. Boom Shakalaka himself, Tim Kittro, for doing our opening intro. Man, I had the pleasure of meeting Tim this past weekend at the Louisville Arcade Expo. He's such an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And big thanks to Tim Kittro. He's done NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, NFL Hits. He's done so many games, and I didn't even know he did pinball games too. But
really?
He's done a lot of things. Up in the Chicago area with Midway. So big thanks to Tim for that awesome intro. And the only way you can hear that is if you're watching the video right now. So you're on YouTube watching that. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Anyway, let's get to the guest I've got here with me today. I got him up. I got him on here because, man, this guy's amazing. I got a lot to say about this guy. All the good things. Nothing bad I can really say about this guy. This is Jason Shepard, and he's from Jason Shepard ArtworX. How you doing, Jason? It's good to see you, man.
I am doing well, man. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm drinking a Coors Light. The cans are blue enough to drink, is what they say. I'm enjoying that. So here we are. We're finally doing an episode together. So
yeah, I know.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
No, absolutely, man. Like so how I met Jason. So, Jason put together with Holly, this pretty dope, dare I say, rad event called Radfest last year. And I happened to be coming back from Cincinnati, and I was like, oh man, I gotta stop in and check this out because I had said I was gonna be there. And I popped in. It's at this place called it was at Plant of the Tapes in Louisville. And by the way, you should check that place out anyway. That's a great little place. You can have a nice cold beverage, and they work with the Louisville Gore Club, always doing some events there and things like that. And I stopped in, and that's where I met this fine gentleman. He had his Miami Vice rocking that Miami Vice gear, that sweet white suit. I like that suit, by the way. That looks good on you, man.
I look great that way.
Yeah, but he had his own booth there promoting his art. And him and I had enjoyed a beverage together, and ever since then, him and I have been really good friends, man. And so let's get into it, Jason, man. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about your art. That's but before I get into that, man, let's talk about you. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at your stuff behind you there. I think a lot of what you have behind you kind of really says it all, right?
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah, man. You got.
And that's the tip of the iceberg, because I'm surrounded by this stuff in this room that I'm in. So people walk in this room and they spend like an hour just looking at everything I've got, and they're like, I feel like I'm standing in a Kmart toy aisle in 1988, and so yeah.
I love it, man. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, like I see you got an Atari. Looks like a 2600 box up there. You got the action. You got the action set. Which I think came with the zappers, right? You got a zapper with that and all that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I see that. You got a very nice VHS collection.
There's more down below me here, but that's just like stacks.
My wife Raven, which I know she we have this little joke where it's like I have a non-VHS collection because like I don't like to say I'm collecting all this stuff, but I do. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, I found the Ninja Turtle movies on VHS. I got to get them.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking for them, but they just kind of decide to make their presence known in front of me.
I feel like mine has gone beyond calling it a collection at this point. I think it's like hoarding it now. So I've tried to stop. I'm like, just stop, and I've done better about it. But
I can understand that. Like, I think for me, we live in a very small trailer. It's not that big. And what sucks is I just like, there's so much stuff I want to buy, but then it's like, where the hell am I going to
put it? Yeah. And that's part of my problem too. I'm filled to maximum capacity here. So
yeah, I'm a man of many collectibles. I do like pop figures, video games, movies, I love art, of course. I've purchased a few of your awesome pieces of work, which I'm going to show off here. I'm going to show everybody what I got from you. We're gonna show those off. But let's jump in, man. I mean, I gotta, we've talked about this before, man. How did you obtain such a passion for art, man? Like, where'd this stem from? Where'd this start? How long you been doing this now?
Honestly, since I was probably in around kindergarten, I took I don't know, I remember some of my earliest memories of it were my dad, and he was by no means an artist, but he would doodle, would show me how to doodle little guys in hats standing next to a little car or something, I don't know. I can't really recall. I guess that's probably where it started. But he would always, he knew that I was getting into it. And he used to be a computer programmer for the state, and would bring me home these like big stacks of like the old printer paper with the perforated edges with the holes
the dot matrix, printer paper. Oh yeah, man. I went to Blockbuster. I had that all. I had to use those all the time for the membership cards. Yeah, I know what that is.
I think every video store had that paper.
Dude, yeah.
He would bring me just heaps of that home and let me draw on it, and kind of just did it for years, man. And but I never, it wasn't something that I think took seriously. I kind of didn't really care about it, and sometime, I guess it's probably around 17 or 18. When I was 17 or 18, I started playing music, and had a couple bands that ran for, like, one of them was like 7 or 8 years, one of them ran for like 9 years, and that's all I cared about. I just wanted to play music. We did a lot of shows, opened up for some national acts and stuff. But
nice.
When that all dissolved, I just started to pick up drawing again, and for whatever reason I was like, okay, people were starting to notice it, and been doing it seriously ever since, I guess 2017 or so, 2018, started really hammering at it, and now it's opened a lot of doors for me. So it's kind of
that's really great. I really like your specific style of art, because it's almost like something you would read in a comic. You know what I mean? Like, you have a very interesting style. Like I was, for those who don't know, I just got back from, as I said before, the Louisville Arcade Expo. There's a guy there. I don't know if you are familiar with Rusty Shackles. He's an artist, and he's based out of Ohio, though.
Okay. And
I picked up some work from him today, but like, I was like, yeah, I'm about to do the show, because we're going to try to have him on at some point later. And I was like, yeah, your art reminds me so much of my friend Jason. Like, do you know Jason Shepard's? Like, I don't think so. I was like, but you guys have a little similar, like, artwork. Okay. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I mean, that's good. Yeah. But for me, so like I said, I met Jason at Radfest, and we were coming back, I think, from I think it was either Horror Hound or Cincinnati Comic Expo, one of the two. We were coming back from Cincinnati, and we were just like, yeah, I mean, let's pop in. I told Holly I was going to show up, and we came in, and there was a nice amount of booths there. Just a nice little intimate setting. You guys were showing some movies, and let's talk about. We're going to get to your artwork. I'm trying to later. But I'm here for the ride, man. So so Radfest, man? What was this? What was the whole? What was that like, kind of putting that together? What made you have that idea? What was, I know you're a child of the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, like me. And like, so what was what made you want to do that? And how did that work? How'd that work out organizing that?
Well, Holly and I, like, we bonded over specifically our love for Duran Duran. So like, we started discovering, I was like, we got a common ground here. There's all kinds of stuff that we like share the same interest in and everything. And
for sure. Yeah.
And just a side note, like, go check out Holly Who Art. Like, she's a great friend of mine. She's a fantastic illustrator as well. So very, very crafty, cool chick. But we had, I should say, without going into too much detail, because it might make me sound, I don't know. Negative. I had a sort of a string of events that I had done that I guess I started to feel like this isn't for me. This isn't the kind of events that I think I'll personally do well at, or I just don't think I'm into this anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
And Holly and I kind of were discussing that, and we decided, well, we should do something of our own. And no one really does like retro pop culture events. Or there's not even really one that I can think of that's happened that's like specifically dedicated to like a particular decade, like the 80s or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I was like, we could do this. We could do this thing,
Yeah.
And we did. And we started brainstorming. And she's so funny because her day job, she's like a marketing specialist. Like she, So literally, we came up. We brainstormed a name for the event. Like we could call it, I don't know, Rad Fest. And there's probably 100 Rad Fests in the world. Who cares? The next day I got up to go to work. It was like 8 a.m. and she had already like had the website built, bought the domain name, already had all this, the Facebook page and everything.
Wow.
Like, okay, you're on this.
Yeah.
And it kind of went from there. We had several months of promotion. Ran some ads and got some write-ups in like the Leo in Louisville there and everything like that. So some good little promotion behind it. And then the event was, we weren't, we just didn't know it was our first one. We didn't know how it was going to go, but it went off without a hitch. It was a really fun night, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I really wish I could have got there early and really hung out with you guys for a long time, but like, I hope you guys, is there a plan? I know I've talked about this before. Is there a plan? Are we going to get another Rad Fest this year by chance at all?
I honestly, I've mentioned it to her. I honestly don't know. I'm going to say probably not this year.
Okay.
We both had a lot going on.
Fine. And that's fine.
But I mean, it could be maybe next year. I mean,
there's always room. I mean, it's your first time doing that and organizing an event. Like, I mean, I have several friends that I've made, working in reviewing and covering expos and shows and stuff. And like, I've known people that have done really big shows. I've known people that done really small shows like your guys's, and somewhere in between. And like, I found that like, no matter what the size is, it's not easy. Like, like trying to the marketing and getting everything like the font right to the how you're going to advertise it, finding a location. Like, did you guys already have in mind to have it there at Planet of the Tapes?
I wasn't aware of Planet of the Tapes, and I was
I had never heard of that place either until she told me.
Which it's a total gym, like we said, not GYM but a GEM.
That's a GEM of a place.
But she had known about it, and she was like, well, heck, I kind of have an idea. There's a place here called Planet of the Tapes. And I was like, well, I'm already sold on the name. So.
That's a cool name.
So she went down and talked to the owner, and it just kind of, we decided that was going to be the spot. So
that's a nice little place too. Like it's got a sweet little vibe to it. I
love the vibe. I wish it makes me wish that it was closer to me so I could just go there and frequent it.
Like, hang out. Right. Yeah. So, so let's go ahead now. We'll dive into your art. So, I know we started talking about it, and then we got into Rad Fest and stuff like that because I wanted to, let people know like how you and I got to know each other and stuff.
Sure. Oh yeah.
I also ran into you. I know Felicia Rose did an event a few months ago, and we ran into each other there too. And
that was a great event too, man.
That was a really awesome.
Yeah. Big shout out to Steve and the Louisville Gore Club.
Gore Club. That was great. Yeah, they do a really good job putting stuff together like that.
Yeah.
And Felicia Rose is a doll. She's a whole
so sweet. So
I've ran into her several times. She's such a sweet person.
Yeah.
So you've done several things. I know that you like to do a lot of retro things, and I love that. Like you've done lots of retro 80s, 90s movies.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere from like Ghostbusters to Gremlins and everything in between. You were working on you did a Miss Cleo thing recently. That was
I
pretty
literally
cool.
okay. Well, no,
And that was amazing.
as of this recording, last night I around like 2 a.m. decided I was like, and I don't know how. I don't know how this stuff pops in my head, but I'm like,
right.
I can't sleep. I'm up. Draw Miss Cleo, and so I sat down and was up until like 6:30 drawing Miss Cleo. So
I like it. I love it.
I don't know where it comes from, but
that's the best part about being creative is like a lot of times these ideas, because I feel that way too. Like, it'll hit you like, because for whether it's a podcast or an article or something, you're just like, for a podcast, like, oh, I'd love to have this person on the show. Yeah. Why didn't I think about that? I talk to them all the time. Mm-hmm. Why not have them on the show? Let's have more conversation. So yeah, I get that too. And your art, I love the detail in your art. I'm going to show, let's go ahead. I'm going to show the folks watching here. I'm going to show off your art, because this is almost all the stuff we picked up from you when we last saw you. Mm-hmm. We'll start with some of the little things here. So I love these prints. You have the grim one there. Do you hear what I hear? I love that.
Creepiest scene in the movie.
It's one of the best Christmas movies ever made. Uh-huh. And then for me, I really dig this because what I love about going to conventions, and we'll talk about that too, because you do conventions, you've been doing them, is I always look for, I like to talk to vendors more than anything else. I know people are always like, oh, I'm going to go to this show because I want to meet this person, they want to meet celebrities. I mean, that's fine, but I guess maybe I'm a little privileged in the sense that I've met so many famous people that it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, it sounds bad, but but at the same time, it's like, no, I'm there for you guys, the vendor, like the people that are paying sometimes a lot of money to get a booth or a table, and a lot of times you don't know where they're going to even put you at. Sometimes you don't get to pick. Sometimes you do get to pick. I've heard stories from several vendors at several shows about how hard that can be as a vendor, and you're out there not just you're competing for attention and competing for people to notice you, but I guess being a vendor too is kind of like a community in and of itself, which is what I've heard from people that I see, because I see a lot of the same people at shows. Yes. And some of these people I consider friends too. Like, but when Raven and I go, because she always comes with me and stuff, helps me out with stuff, we always are looking for unique stuff, mm-hmm. whether it's unique art, such as yourself, or unique, just out of the ordinary things. Like there's a guy called Twisted Wire, and he makes wire creations out of like all kinds of stuff. Like he does Michael Myers, he does Slimer, like. It's really cool. You guys have to look him up. He's great. Yeah. But I saw this at your booth when we were doing the Felicia Rose thing. And I'm always looking for things that are a big part of my childhood too. Like that's the kind of stuff I collect. I don't necessarily
Why do I have a feeling I know what you're about to show?
Yeah, I think I'm about to show, because I got to show this.
I'm going to see.
Because they brought these back.
Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows. They brought these back. And I got one of them. Thankfully, I got one of them. I didn't get all three of them, but I got one of them. But check this out, guys. Look at that.
That's your haunted Happy Meal.
I love that.
The eyeball coming out of the cup, the slime dripping from the straw. You've got some maggot blood burger thing.
I love it. I absolutely love the detail. I mean, look at the detail of that alone.
Thanks, man.
It's you got to see it in person if you ever do. It looks better. The camera doesn't do it justice, but. I saw this and I was like, okay, that's why I like Jason, because you come up with some of the most unique stuff. And I mean, let's face it, right? I don't want to say anybody can do art, because it does take some skill. You got to have, I would imagine you would agree with me. You got to have some skill. You got to be able to be good at drawing. And me personally, I suck at that. I don't think I could draw my way out of a brown paper bag if my life depended on it. But you got to have some skill. But the thing is like, it's the uniqueness that I look for in people's art. Like, I think we talked about this person, but Beth, the chalk girl, you maybe have heard of her. Maybe you'll see her at a show you do one time, but she goes to conventions, Jason, and she takes this massive canvas with her, and she will do with just chalk an entire drawing over the whole weekend of someone, like whether it's Spider-Man or Hellboy or things like that.
See, stuff
And
like that is amazing.
and
I
see,
mean,
that's what,
these
and
are
that's what I'm
these
saying.
are talents that are like way outside of my realm, like things that I could never do. Like I cannot,
Yeah, but
dude, I can draw. I can't draw with chalk. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. So like
yeah,
that's what I mean. Like that's what's so unique is like you've got one person who's like, man, they're so good with chalk. That's like this the shit I used to, as a kid on the sidewalk, right? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then, but not that like she's better than you or you're better than
Well,
her.
it's a whole different thing.
You
Yeah,
guys are just good at your own thing, and
yeah.
and when you put pen to, when you put that to paper or what have you, or whatever program you use, that's where that comes out, and it's why it's yours. Like I love this too. I'll get to the big one. You know what? You probably would know which one that's
I
going
know
to be.
which one. Yeah.
This one's rather fitting though, because this movie just came out, and my wife is a huge fan of this series, but love this, by the way. I love that, and I love that you
Yeah.
got the buttons of the phone back here.
Yeah, I was like, well, what can be a good background? I was like, phone buttons. You got to have the
Gotta have
landline
the buttons.
phone buttons, man. Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks.
I love that.
I made that turned into a hat. I made that design onto a trucker hat.
Nice.
And Scarefest this past year, they flew off
right through those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me, before I get to the last one, I want to show everybody here. Have you had any well, I know the answer to this, but you can go ahead and let everybody know. How many people, like celebrities or what have you, that you've done their artwork of has came up and like really like appreciated your art?
Well, the big one was one of the big ones
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was Scarefest of 2022.
Yep.
Robert Patrick, the T-1000 from Terminator 2. He was there, and I was like, well, I love this guy. Like, I have to draw, because I think it's cool that like I could draw them. People could buy the print, and then not only could they have like a cool art print, but they could take it to their table and have it autographed, and you'd have a cool, unique art print by a local artist,
mm-hmm.
autographed by one of your favorite celebs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm stuck in my booth most of the weekend. Like, I can't really make my rounds the way I want to. So
for sure. Yeah.
I'm talking to people. There's a few people in my booth that are buying some stuff, and I'm talking to them. And all of a sudden, Robert Patrick darts into my booth, and he goes straight for the T-1000 print. And he's looking at it, and he goes, "Wow, man, that's awesome, dude!" And listen, when I tell you that my jaw hit the floor, like I just didn't know what to say. And I was like, what are you doing in my booth? I should be over in your booth.
I should be in your booth. Yeah. Right.
And, just the nicest guy. And he was giving me so much praise. And he's like, man, you are so talented. And I said, listen, can I give you a print? And he goes, what the hell am I going to do with it? And I was like, take it home and put it in that pile of stuff that people give you with these things, and you'll forget all about it. And he was like, well, can I autograph it for you? And I was like, no, you're here to make money on your autographs, the same as I'm here to make money on my art. Let me just gift this to you in exchange for maybe a picture together. So we took a picture together. But he was very polite to everybody in my booth, shook everybody's hands.
That's
just the nicest guy. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Blown away that even happened.
Yeah. That's such a feel good thing. Like, and that's kind of, I know as someone that's an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur too, just
Sure.
yourself, and we different things, but like, it's always good, right, to get a little bit of validation every once in a while.
Oh man, I could have packed my stuff up and went home and just called it a weekend. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I saw. I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna tell me that, because like that's why I brought it. I was like, to hear this again. But like when you showed me that picture, I was like, yes. I love seeing my friends that are entrepreneurs win like that. That's so good.
It was a win. It was cool.
Love that. That's a big one, dude.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your other thing.
Mm-hmm.
You already know what that is. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
So, you happen to meet a certain someone named Lloyd Kaufman. What was that like, and how's that working out for you? I already know the answer, but we want to let the people listening know what's going on with that. I want to hear the story, because I don't think you and I really got to talk about the whole story.
I don't know.
I've read your post about this on Facebook and stuff like that, but like, dude, first off, big props to you for that, by the way. But you go ahead and let people know what's going on with that.
Well, okay, so here's how all of this started. I was I was just kind of thinking this was not this past winter that we just came out of, but the one before it. So I guess 2021.
Sure. Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, I want to get out there more. I want to break out of this, whatever little mold or bubble that I've got myself in. And I need to be doing things that I know that I can do. I know that I can do these things.
Yes.
So I thought about Trauma, and I was like, I love Trauma. Trauma is for those not listening that don't know, they're like the longest running independent film company in history. They created things like The Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, Poultrygeist, all of these crazy zany movies that are kind of staples in the horror community.
Yep.
But I just on a whim decided to email Lloyd's assistant one night, and I was like, listen, I'd like to, if I could, and I sent him some examples on my work. I was like, I would just like to volunteer my services to you for a project. And without hesitation, that was a Sunday night, without hesitation, the next morning, that Monday, his assistant at the time, who's no longer with them at the company, he's moved on, he emails me back and he says, hey, Jason, these look great. Would you be interested in doing our poster for the Trauma Dance Film Festival, which is going to be taking place at the Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yes.
So I've probably spent a week and a half working this thing up. There's so much detail on this poster. And I was reporting back to him every single day, and he was so communicative and just so cool. And I remember I was grocery shopping one night, and he emails me. He goes, Lloyd has approved it. It looks good. We're going to use it. And they used it. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So when Lloyd was at Scarefest this past year, I was walking out from the night that we were all setting our booths up. Was walking out, and there's this little guy kind of like meandering around the venue, and there's not many people in there. It's very empty. And I was like, oh, it's Lloyd Kaufman, dude. So I was like, Mr. Kaufman, and he's, hey, how you doing? How you doing? So he shake. I was like, listen, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm the one that did your poster for you. And so he goes, oh, you did great. You did great. And he reaches in his pocket and he gives me his business card. And he says, listen, I've got more directors that are looking for poster art, like promotional art.
Yeah.
Give me a call or email me. And I was like, well, I've got all my cards back at my table. I don't have one on me. And he goes, well, you got mine. I don't need it. You got mine. So after the event, I let the dust settle for a couple of weeks, emailed Lloyd.
Yeah.
Literally within 5 minutes, he had forwarded my email around to all the directors that are right now doing things for Trauma. And I was just like, geez, man, like this guy, he didn't have to do that. It was so sweet. And
yeah, for sure.
A director named Brandon Bassam bid at it and got in touch with me. And he is currently, I don't know how much I could say about the movie.
Sure.
He's currently working on a film called Brain on the Damned. And I got a paycheck from Trauma that for the commission I did for that poster. And it was just so cool. And now I just finished up another poster for Brandon for that same movie that will actually be featured in a scene in the movie. So when you watch this movie, my artwork will be on in the movie.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Super cool, man. Super cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of meeting. I call him Uncle Lloyd all the time when I see him. Like, hey, it's my Uncle Lloyd.
Uncle Lloyd, yeah.
He's a great guy. He always goes he usually goes to Horror Hound, and he was doing some other conventions in Indianapolis when I lived there at the time. And he's a good dude. He's such a nice guy.
Man.
He's super approachable. Like, him and everybody else is there too at their booth and stuff. But yeah, I saw that, man. I was like, that's what's up, man. Like, Jason's just over here. Yeah, winning like crazy. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I had that happen the first night, and then the second night, Robert Patrick, and I was just like, I don't even care how much money I make this weekend.
Yeah, dude, right, man.
It just happened.
Yeah, and then you shared a picture of that check. Not the whole. I was not the whole thing, but like you shared that you got it from them.
Oh yeah.
And you said it was signed by what's his name? The guy
Michael Hertz.
Michael Hertz is
the vice president of Trauma.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's just cool to see, man.
You got to
Super cool.
frame that somehow or some way, or some piece of it if you do. Like
Well, I had to deposit it into the ATM, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get that back, but I did take a picture of that check.
Yes, there you
I
go.
I could print it out and
Print that bad boy out and say, "Hey, look, this I did that." How is that not surreal for you though, as someone who's been doing this a while? To like, Trauma is a cult classic, iconic, in the movie film scene. It's all they've always had that B movie feel to it.
C movie.
C movie, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going and expecting some like big budget Hollywood movie, but you get what you expect, right? If you do.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching Toxie and watched Poultrygeist and a few other things, and those movies are so special to me. And that's gotta get you right in the feels, right, man?
It got me in the feels, man. Yeah, I'm still like real from it. I'm like, I can't believe like.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be in a movie. In the movie,
it's gonna be
like
the movie.
that's wild.
Toxic Avenger was the first Trauma movie I ever saw.
Oh yeah.
I knew of the cartoon first, the Toxic Crusaders.
Yep, I remember that.
Kind of kid friendly. So when I actually saw the Toxic Avenger, I couldn't believe that. Like, oh, this is not for kids. There's matter of fact, a kid got his head.
You were like turned upside down. Like, wait a minute.
I was like, okay,
this is weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
For real. I've been wanting. I told myself today when I was like, well, I'm gonna get Jason. I'm gonna tell him right. I'm gonna tell him to his face, I'm proud of you, brother. Like, bro, you deserve it, man. Like, for this guy, you can tell if you can't already. He's very humble. He loves what he does.
Yeah.
And I want to show you guys one more thing. And this is special to me because this game is hard as hell. And I'm a big gamer. I love the NES, classic console, first console I ever had when I was a kid. And there was a company called LJN that used to put out these really shitty games. And they were the company that always got the movie licenses, but their games were like not the best. But I would say this one in particular is probably their best game that they had a license for.
I love several of them actually, but yeah.
And not only that, but I am a big fan of this movie franchise. This is a movie that's always been special to me. It was actually one of the first horror movies I ever saw when I was a kid too. And so I saw this too, and I was like, okay, that's a must for me. I have to pick this up. I still got to frame it. What I'm going to try to do, Jason, is I'm going to try to frame it like right here. So that way, every time we have a guest on the show, we got your art in this area. We got Chalk Girl's art right here. That's Beth. She did that.
Oh, is that?
That's the Master Chief. Yep, that's her right there. She signed it and everything. That's her. Yeah. So we're going to try to have you somewhere in here, right? Just right there. We get you in there so everybody can see your art on all of our shows. But check this out, man. Look at this. Look at that. Friday the 13th, the game.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I did that for Scarefest, and originally it was, you've seen the original version of it was just regular colors, and that's him overlooking the barn that the final scene in part 3 takes place in. And I was like, you could do a recolor and do a total NES variant of this, and I'm so glad I did. So I love how it came out.
That looks amazing. I love that you even got the little cut here on the mask and everything, and the blood trickling down on the chin. I mean, and you got the cabin. Yeah, that game is. Didn't you say you had just beat that game like not too long ago?
I have beaten it several.
I think I've beat it a few times. It's difficult.
I beat it several years ago, and then it's one of those things where I learned how to do it, and I just like do it every time now. Matter of fact, one of my other podcasts that I actually host, we streamed me doing it the other night live, and I
did you really?
I beat it in probably 15-20 minutes. So that's
let's talk about that show. So you have a show called Powerbomb Nation.
Well, okay, yeah, I do 2 podcasts.
Yeah, let's talk about your podcast. Go ahead.
I'll keep them quick.
You're good. Go for it, brother. This is for you, man.
All right.
Go for it.
The original one I have is Lost Art of, and it is with my friends Matt and Luke Cosley, who are brothers, and known them for years, and we just cover a bunch of like retro pop culture topics. Like we started off as what is the lost art of video stores? So we talked about video stores.
That's cool.
Or
I like that.
The lost art of landline phones, but then as we've grown, we've been going 6 or 7 years now. So
that's cool.
We'll pick like music of 1985 or movies of 1987 or something like that, or cultural icons, focus on one and talk about them or something. And then so my friend Dwight, who I went all the way back to first grade with, he's for a long time now had a podcast called Powerbomb Nation. He's a big wrestling guy, but we decided to do a spinoff from that, a branch out called Culture Cast, which is essentially the same show that I do with the other two guys, but it's a lot of fun too because it's me and Dwight. We got me and Dwight spin on it, and go check those out. Of course, the lost art of is just audio, but me and Dwight, we do it, like this. So
we'll drop those links. You guys will be able to see those links on the YouTube down below, and we'll get Jason's. I'll have Jason's links for everything down below too, so you guys can get his stuff, because you guys got to pick up some of this work. Now, you do do you do commissions for people?
All the time.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. We'll get those links down there. So let's talk about retro, man. Let's get into some retro conversation.
Yeah.
So what were some things what was that movie for you as a kid growing up, man, that just really stuck with you as a kid?
Well, there's several, but
I know there's several.
The one was probably Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Oh, dude, absolutely.
Massive for me, man.
That's such an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Great cast too. They very well casted that movie.
Great cast. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
probably one of my favorites.
Did you see the new one, Afterlife?
Loved it.
Wasn't that amazing?
It was amazing. Yeah.
We got the sequel we deserved.
So tastefully done in a nice tribute to Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
Great. It was just, I couldn't have asked for a better movie.
Such a great movie. Yeah. What about video games? Did you play a lot of? I mean, clearly you had to have played something because you've got some consoles back there. What were some of those games you enjoyed a lot as a kid too back then?
Yeah, man, I still have. Look, I'm looking at my collection right now. I've got probably 200 or 300 NES games sitting right in front of me. I've got so many Sega Genesis games, Super Nintendo games, Atari.
Yeah.
I'm big into that. I still play them all. That's what I play. I mean, when I do sit down and play video games, I always go back to the old stuff. It's just so much of a fun factor.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man. Just all that old
cool. Do you have anybody when it comes to art that inspires you as an artist? Is there anyone in particular that you, in the years you've been doing art, that you're kind of who is it that you really appreciate when it comes to doing art and things like that?
I would say Kevin Eastman, the co-creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love his style. I used
that gritty style, that gritty art style. Yeah.
I used to try to mock that style. It just never, I don't know why. I guess flattery. What do they say? Flattery is, what is it? Copying is the best form of flattery or something like that.
Copying is the best form of flattery.
Yeah. But I not only do I just love his style, but how the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles concept came about, and how it was an independently published comic that they used tax return money to fund, and it just took off, and it created something massive for him. Yeah. So all of those little things, I really inspired by that story. So
I know we were, I mean, times are so different now, man. Because now you've got you've got this whole AI art generating stuff. I don't know how you feel about that. I know a lot of people. It's funny because I do know many people that are artists. Some of them, believe it or not, they're yeah, whatever. It's AI. It's whatever. As long as they're not taking my exact stuff, it's not a
if there's that app that people were if you want to upload your picture to an app and see what it looks like.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Get a cool profile picture out of it or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a little worrisome. I never want. We're in the world of deep fakes. So look,
that's some scary shit though.
That's fucking Cindy Crawford could die, and not Cindy Crawford. Julia Roberts could die, and you could have Julia Roberts in a movie for 200
that's
years
freaky. That's so freaky. Yeah.
Or they've got these programs where it's create a song in the style of Freddie Mercury, and you know what? It sounds like Freddie came right out of the grave and did a new Queen album. It's just that I always want that human element of creativity to
Yeah.
shine, and that's
Yeah.
it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Me personally, it's like it's a double-edged sword for me, just like everything else is with the way our technology is getting now. It is getting kind of scary, right? A little bit in some way, especially with deepfake and stuff. But like for me, it's like, I don't mind. So I guess I'm not an artist, but I guess sometimes like if you're having fun with it, that's one thing. But I'm not gonna pay to have an AI make art for me. You get what I'm saying? Like if I'm gonna purchase art, it's gonna be it's gonna be from like you or my friends that I know that are artists, because I want to support you guys, because I know you do this because you enjoy doing it, but it helps pay your bills too. I get that, dude. I get that all the time. Like, and it's hard to balance doing what I do as something I enjoy and then doing it as a business too, right? Because you don't want to lose your love for what you do. But like for me, if you're out there and you're just like paying for AI art to give you art, that's kind of shitty, and that's lazy, and you're taking away from people like you and other people who really actually are making things. And for me, like I don't want to type on Google, hey, draw me this, and then draw it for me. Like, no, man, like, because it's soulless, it has no meaning, it's a robot doing it. I don't want robots doing everything for me, man. I don't want AI to do everything. I don't mind some things, but like I don't want AI to create stuff, because for me it's like it just has no feeling to it. You know what I'm saying? Like it loses its meaning to me. Like, and like,
that's one of the things I love about doing commissions for people, is that they'll hire me to do like maybe a family portrait or something as a gift, a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, anything, like retirement, anything, whatever the occasion.
Absolutely.
And they know that I have sat there and put in like blood, sweat, and tears into that thing.
Yes.
And when I do commissions for people, I'll send them progress pics as I go. That way they can give me feedback. If they want anything changed, I can do it along the way. And they enjoy seeing that process, and they're just like, dude, like this is crazy seeing this progress the way it does.
And that's the thing too, like is that when it comes to AI, you don't have that. It's not real, it's not personal, it's not, it's just, and it can be done like that. There's no, it's this, I want it to come from someone who I know is thinking about it and putting their own literal personal touch on what it is I want them to do.
Right.
And so like, that's why I would rather, and not that, but I mean, if I'm going to give my money to anything, it's going to be a person that I want to support, and
not an app. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like not an app that's owned by a big corporation and that they're greedy and they're already getting tons of money anyway. They don't need that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal if you're just having fun with it and you're doing a free thing or whatever. But if you're out there and you're spending money and you're paying money for, you're trading money for art, then that's weird. I wouldn't pay a AI to do it when I could have my friends do it. You know what I mean? And do a better job, because it actually comes from a human that has a soul that cares.
Trust me, every time someone asks, and I'm going to probably speak on this for every artist I know.
Yeah.
Or every artist ever. Like, someone comes to you and says, I love your stuff, I'd like to commission you, or I just want something of yours, because it's really special and always just means so much to be asked that you jump right into it, man, and you give it your best. I mean, that's that thrill will never go away for me.
There's a thing I like for you to commission, but I know we had talked about like you're busy, and I get it. So
like, I've been squeezing a lot in lately, so
I'm in no rush. We'll talk about it. But I mean, but it's because I trust. I've already purchased things that were originally from you, and it's like, there's things I'd like to see you try to do for me personally, and it's like I would love to see how Jason would draw like my dog or something like that. Like to see how you put your touch on it. And that's what I love about art, man. Like, any form of art, whether it's music, video games, I think a lot of people, it's kind of weird, but I think even still, a lot of people think that the only form of art is just drawing, and that's not true. Like video
Oh
games
no.
are art,
Yeah.
music is art, film is art, TV is art.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that are
Mhm.
artistic in its own way. And as I said before, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about conventions now too before we wrap up here in a little bit. But like when I go to shows, that's what I'm looking for, because conventions are such an awesome place to be at, like there you get such a great mix of people. I feel like I can honestly say I've not seen really any drama in a con I've been to, and I've done this for 10 years.
Mhm.
I can maybe think of one time, but that wasn't even the attendees. It was the security staff. We can talk about that sometime.
Sure.
But like at a show I went to, but outside of it being a show, outside of it being that, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get into it. I don't think I've seen people fight or cause drama or anything at any convention I've been to. And that's amazing to me. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what con you go to. I was talking to somebody last night at Louisville Arcade Expo. I was like, there's two communities. There's the convention community as a whole, people that like going to cons. But then there's that sub community of whatever that con's about that you're at. So like, this past weekend we did retro gaming and pinball, right?
Mhm.
So that's a community that I love to be a part of. But then within that, the overall community is the convention community. And so for me, like no matter which genre of con I go to, and I do pop cons, I do like pop culture cons, horror cons, I've done this retro arcade and pinball expo convention, whatever, what have you. And no matter which one I go to, no matter what the genre is, I find myself being around very awesome people and like-minded individuals and people that just want to have fun, have a good time. And for me, like, getting to meet celebrities is great. But as I told you earlier, I'm there to meet you guys. To me, people like you are the real superstars of these shows.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones putting yourselves out there. You're having to, really sell yourselves and what you do. And that's what I look for when I go, is people like you. I look for uniqueness. I look for that creativity. And what I love to hear is I love a good story about your success. And, seeing you personally, I mean, we haven't even known each other for like a year yet.
Right.
And just seeing what you've already done. I mean, with Trauma, and you had Robert Patrick at your booth. I mean, that's that makes me feel good for you.
Yeah.
Feels
good.
What is it like for you to be at these shows, man, and experience going to a con? And I know you've done a few. And
I haven't done them I've only done them for a couple of years, really.
Yeah. What's it been like to be surrounded by other artists? Like, what are some things that you enjoy about being surrounded by like-minded people such as yourself?
Honestly, believe it or not, there are several artists and creators that I'll look at their stuff and I personally get inspired by them. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, they're better than you. Like, you need to get it. You need to get it together, man. Like, but honestly, I have met so many sweet people, like whether it be a fellow vendor or whether it be someone who came and like you, man, like you. I met you at a show and here we are. And like, I love you to death. I mean, just people like you, like your support just means so much. And man, these are people that I've met, people that I talked to one time, and maybe they bought something and maybe they didn't, but you know what, we connected somehow and they've become very, very supportive people. And you get that sense of family, you get that sense of community, you get, I enjoy running into these people at these events. And it's always happening. At least every event, I'm always meeting a handful of people that I'm, very happy to be connected with. So
sure, I get that too. Like even for what I do with this show and the domain and everything, it's like for me, it's all about the networking. And I've taken different people with me before, and they're just like, man, like my buddy Eric, who's part of what we do here. He went with me today. And this is only his second expo or show ever, second convention ever. And he's just like, man, this is so cool. Like you get to network with people, and I'm like, yeah, it's everybody's there for a positive thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's positivity, because and not to get like political, but man, we're in such a time right now, you know what I mean, where we're so divided and we're so torn apart by everything going on. And it feels to me when I go to these shows, because the thing is like, we want an escape, right? We want an escape. And now it's like a lot of things are not that nothing was ever political, right? Things have been that way in TV and movies and video games. But now it feels so much more that now, right? Like so much more that. And you just want to escape. You just want to like shut your brain off and watch TV for 2 hours,
Well,
right?
you have to find
and
it.
not let all of what's going on social media and
Yeah.
outside. But it's so hard to do that now. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm so surprised because even after the pandemic where everybody didn't know what the hell they were going to do. And, I'll talk with you about that in a second too. But like, I don't feel that division at a con. I don't
No.
think I've ever felt at conventions. And I have friends that are a part of the LGBTQ community that run shows and people that, go and they know that and no one cares. And I'm just like,
No.
man, and I go and I'm like, why can't we be this way outside of these events? Why can't people be like this? And it just makes me just like, man, and it feels good. But what sucks about it is sometimes these shows only last a day or three, right? And like,
Sure.
they're so gone, and then you get like this, you get hit real hard with reality about, oh, that's right, we're still in this country, we're still dealing with these things. It makes me feel good, but yet kind of sad in a way because we can go to these spaces and everybody gets along, everybody's having fun. It don't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, don't matter what your beliefs are. We're here to have fun.
Yeah.
And
we all
like,
deserve that, right?
and we all deserve that much, man.
Escapism at some point, especially
escapism
now.
Escapism is so important, man.
Yeah.
And I know like pandemic stuff, like 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. So
I know. I was thinking,
like,
I heard it on the radio Friday night that it has been 3 years.
Yeah.
Since I think the
Isn't that
CDC
wild?
like declared this, and I was like, wow, has it been that long?
Isn't that wild? 3 years. And I remember like, I was so excited for 2020 and I was like, oh, we just moved down to Southern Indiana. I can't wait to make friends. And then just some force like, nope, you don't get to do what you want to do. And I know for a lot of my friends in the convention scene, they had to like figure out what the hell they were going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like my buddy Carl, who he's done our podcast before. He's been here and he had to do his whole entire convention digitally. And they were scrambling, like, what are we gonna do? Like, how do we do this? How do we do an all virtual convention?
Right.
And I mean, and I had a little part of that too, which was cool. We did our show on there too, and I just, that was different. I want to ask you, how was that like? What was that whole thing like for you with what you do? I mean, how did it? I don't know how long you said a couple years, but what was those times like for you as an artist, man? Like where you don't have it's kind of your world's a whole different, we're in a whole different world at that point, right?
I think during the pandemic, I hadn't really started venturing into big conventions and things. Sure. I was doing, pop-ups or setups or whatever. And there were a few times that I did that year and it wasn't really an issue, but it did not actually affect my art at all. In fact, it was one of the busiest times for me. People were constantly commissioning me for things.
Hey, that's good.
We were getting that stimulus check. Like, hey, yeah, I was like, okay. So I was like, is this going to affect me or not? And it didn't. I did so many that year alone, but I'm
that's
so
good,
appreciative
man.
of that. Yeah.
That's good, man.
So,
what was it like when you went to your first con? What was your first con you went to? Set up at? You remember?
Oh yeah. So there is a there's a video game store, and I think maybe they're currently like kind of closed down temporarily, but here in Lexington called Retro Rewind, and
okay, I've heard of that.
Ashley, not Kurt, Curtis is he's so nice, and he had saw some of my art and he got a free booth at Scarefest. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
To promote, like, you will get a free booth if you promote our new game, Friday the 13th, the game, which it was developed by Gun Development or Gun.
Yeah.
Now, Gun, did you know they're based here in Lexington?
I think I did.
They are here in Lexington. I've been inside their office because
that's cool.
Where I work at, we went in and did some graphics install for them, and so
cool.
they wouldn't let me take any pictures or anything of the.
Of course, yeah, of course.
There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
That's
so
awesome,
anyway, yeah. So they paid his booth to go and set up to promote the game, and he asked me if I wanted to set up there, and I kind of had a little table in his booth, and it was fun. But then, you know, this is the only so that really was the first time. But
yeah. I know it's a whole other beast when you're a vendor. Like, I think for me, it's kind of cool because, like, I've had the opportunity. I've been a vendor, I've been a member of the press, and I've been an attendee, and I've been a panelist. So, like, I've kind of been I've done like all that stuff you can do basically at a con. Except what I want to do one time is I want to volunteer. I've always wanted to volunteer at a show.
Yeah, it could be fun.
That looks like that'd be a lot of fun. Like, I know a few people that have asked me, like, hey man, you should, if you really want to know how a convention runs, volunteer. You'll find out really quick. Yeah, man, I love your art, man. I appreciate you so much, Jason, for coming on our show today. I appreciate you. Oh man, hey,
you are the sweetest. You are so supportive, man. I've always been so appreciative and thankful. Thank you so much, man.
No, that means a lot, man. We try to look. We got, us creators, man. We got to look out for each other, man. Like, we're both entrepreneurs and we create things in our own way. Whether it's, I do this show and I do a lot of videos on YouTube and we edit, that's an art form in itself. Trying to figure that out from you doing, all these beautiful prints and things you create. We're looking out for each other, man. I think that's I think we need to do that because I feel like, and I'll close this. I think that a lot of times I think we need to get back to trying to look out for each other because there's so many people that are creators, especially like in my space where it's YouTube, that they go after each other. And I'm just like, why? Like, no, we do the same thing. Like, we need to
let people be, man. Like,
we need to be looking out for each other instead of trying to jump on each other and use each other as a stepping stone. And I'll tell you what, I remember it all started for me with podcasting. And I always told myself that if I ever get to a place where I have enough people that I know that other entrepreneurs or creators or what have you, or mom and pop, whatever, if I can give people views, I want those people to have views because I don't want to use people. I've never been that guy who, how can I use this person to gain?
Sure.
And there's too many people out there that do that where you think they're genuine, but they really just want to use you.
Yeah.
To get viewers. And everybody who's ever watched this show or the show we did before, we did 82 episodes of that podcast. We don't do that here. Like, I don't have people on this show or any show I ever have done and be like, hey man, like, okay, I'm gonna get Jason on. How many views can I get from Jason? Like, it's not that with me.
You're probably not gonna get a lot just on me alone.
You're probably right.
Promise you that.
No, but because for me, it's like, and I've watched so many podcasts too, where you get these podcasts who they always just want celebrities. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, I want my friends on that are creators. I have so many friends that are like you that make beautiful things and things I enjoy. And I want to put up in my house. Right. And let other people see. And share that with people. And I want, I don't want to just be the only one successful. I look at it like this. I don't want to use you guys as a stepping stone. I want to pull you guys up with me if I can.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it.
Well, there's room enough for all of us, right?
And there's plenty of room. I'll make room if I got to.
It's a big world. Yeah.
But I appreciate you, Jason. You're an awesome person,
man. I appreciate you so much.
Man.
Thank you.
You are an amazing individual. If you guys ever get to see this guy, let's talk about that. What shows you got coming up, man? Where are you going to be at this year?
God, hold on. Let me pull my. I don't have a lot to be perfectly honest with you. I don't have. I've only got like maybe 5 shows or so booked
Okay.
at the moment for the year, but
Okay.
I don't. Hopefully, we'll add more.
Yeah.
So I've got. Never mind, that's the wrong. Okay, so next weekend, actually, March. What, 16th?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
I'll be at Elizabethtown at the Kentucky Crossroads Con.
Okay. There you go.
April 29th, I'll be in Maryville, Tennessee at Retrofest.
Nice.
So FrankenCon.
I think so. Yeah.
In Nashville, maybe. The same guy who runs that is he's doing this.
Oh.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to check that out and do
Nice.
that, and then of course Louisville PopCon. What's that? June 13th.
Yeah. I actually ran into those guys today.
Yeah. We told me about that,
so we're recording on Sunday, so it's gonna be Monday for you guys or whatever day after that. But
okay.
yeah, I ran into them today, so I was like,
Awesome.
I've been telling so many people about you guys, so I look forward to seeing you in June.
That's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be fun.
And then of course, what?
Got Scarefest still? You doing
Scarefest, of course, and
absolutely,
October. And
yeah.
Anything that pops up that I can fit in, I'm gonna try to squeeze it in and just do it. So yeah.
Well, there you go. So if you're gonna be, Scarefest, PopCon, Louisville, if you don't go, you should go to both of those shows. Those are both really great shows. You'll be able to see Jason in person. You can pick up some of his stuff. But if you're not going to be able to see Jason in person, there's going to be some links down below where you can go and you can purchase your own artworks from Jason Shepard over here. And I highly recommend you do so. He's got a lot of great stuff. This is a very wonderful person, someone I'm very proud to call a friend. And I always look forward to seeing you and spending some time with you. You're such a good guy. You're such a great guy.
Are too,
you deserve all the good. You deserve all the things, my friend, all the good things. I cannot wait to see what more is in store for you as well. Of course,
we'll see.
And you've always got a place here on our show. If you ever want to come on, it doesn't matter what we talk about. Even if you just want to hang out with us and talk about whatever, just let me know. You're more than welcome here. You have a home here on the Next Level. And for all of you watching, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Next Level. Let me know what you think about Jason. Let's attack his character in the comments below. Just kidding. No, let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below. Leave him some nice comments. Be nice to the man. Just attack me. That's fine. You can do that too. But seriously,
go after
what you think about art and conventions and retro and things like that in the comments below. They're on YouTube, and if you're not watching this show and you're listening to it on audio, well, what the hell are you doing? You should be watching this show,
right?
So you can see this man's gorgeous face over here. But we do appreciate all of you for listening to us, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and the plethora of other things that we have our show on. We do appreciate you for that as well. But until next week, I'm Brian Daniels. We'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one. Bye.